The first thing we need to do in order to configure Azure Backup is create a recovery vault. As you can see, I've logged into Azure, and I have a couple of resource groups available to me. The one we're going to focus in on for this section is Implement Recovery Services. You will notice that I have a list of 17 items already configured in this resource group. I have 2 virtual machines and all the associated networking and storage and NICs that are required for those virtual machines. We're going to implement Azure Backup on servers production and production 2. But the first thing we need to do is set up that recovery vault. To do so, click Add, and then start typing recovery. We are going to select Backup and Site Recovery, OMS. OMS stands for Operations Management Suite. That service is outside the scope of this course, but it has no bearing on our selection. I'm going to go ahead and choose it again. We have some basic information presented about backup and site recovery. We're going to focus on backup. Click on Create. Next, provide a name for your vault. I'm going to keep it really simple and call it Backup Vault. I'm going to place it in the existing resource group of Implement Recovery Services, and the location is already defaulted as East US. One thing I'd like to mention here is that not all regions may have this service available. For example, in Canada, the backup service is not available unless you configure it through Preview. I'll include a link in the notes on how you configure the Preview within Canada. Click Create. Our deployment has succeeded. I'm going to go ahead and close the window and close our next window or blade. And now I'm going to go locate that vault itself. I'm going to do so by filtering on name. I called it Backup Vault for ease. I'm going to click in Backup Vault. And you see we have a list of options available to us. The first thing I want to point out is how we change from local redundant storage to geo-redundant storage. What you need to do is scroll all the way down to Backup Infrastructure, and then Backup Configuration. By default, when you create a backup vault, it will be geo-redundant. If you do not need the functionality of being geo-redundant, then you can switch to locally redundant, remembering that locally redundant storage costs about half as much as geo-redundant. Local redundant, you have 3 copies within one data center. Geo-redundant, 6 copies across 2 regions, at least 100 kilometers apart. Click Save. If you do not do this prior to registering a server for backup, you will not be able to change this after the fact. This one is written in stone. I'm going to go ahead and close that blade. You will hear me use the terms blade and window interchangeably. I'm going to go ahead and close the next blade. If we look at our overview now, you'll notice we're presented with some alerts. We don't have anything configured for this backup vault yet because we just created it. But one thing I do want to point out is we can see that files are being backed up, but we can't actually see the data. There is no way to view that data within the Azure Management Portal itself. If you'd like to recover data, you'll have to do so using the agent itself. After creating the recovery vault, your next steps will be to configure the agent and then protect your servers. And we'll be doing that in our next video.